Mark Cannizzaro, golf writer for the New York Post. And Mark, you all set for a trip to Torrey? What was your reaction to Tiger's WD on Monday?
Well, sadly, it's another one of these kind of, we're hyped up and promised to see him get back and play again. Obviously, it's been since last year, and things just seem to always come up. Now, this is obviously a very devastating situation, and as we all know around the game lab, Tita has been by his side, so I'm sure that's a very devastating situation. You can never measure anybody's grief. So it's thoroughly understandable what's taken place. But the shame is, as good of a field as we'll have out there at Torrey Pines, it was a massive curiosity to see Tiger play again. And, even though he's not a threat to win tournaments anymore, he still moves the needle. People want to know. They're interested in everything Tiger does. So it's a disappointment. It's a little bit of air out of the balloon, I think, this week, even for the players that are in the field.
I want to circle back, Mark, to what you just said, not a threat to win tournaments anymore. For most of our adult lives, we've kind of, wondered at this time of year, what's Tiger going to do for the rest of the season? What are your expectations for Tiger at the age 49? It sounds like they're pretty low.
Well, he's kept them low, D. As you know, he's, he even, at the beginning of last year, if you recall, he really was setting the bar low for himself, and our expectations are hopefully just to see him in the majors. That's really all we expect and hope for. So whatever he does, I don't know. Is he going to play, TPC in March? I don't know. Arnold Palmer, where he's had great success. Last year, obviously, he came out with the once a month thing, which is basically one major a month. So, I don't think we're going to see him again until the Masters. I wouldn't think.
Mark, what do you think is the importance of Tiger Woods on today's tour when he's 49 years old, 1 year, away from being Champions Tour eligible, maybe playing 4 to 6 times a year? What's the importance of Tiger in this era?
I think the importance, Ryan, is that there's still interest in him, even though he's not that dominant, multiple winning guy again. But he's also taken a different role, obviously, as we've seen, on the boards and whatnot, and we all hope trying to unify the game a little bit, which is disrupted and discombobulated, and the viewers, the fans, and we in the media that cover these events, we're all the losers in this because we're just not, having all these players out there. And Tiger has, decidedly taken on a role to try to move the game along and be a little bit more of a steward of the game. So. That's where I see him a little bit, other than, those ceremonial majors. And, I am fascinated to see what he may do once he turns 50 in terms of, playing some Champions Tour stuff where he can take a cart and doesn't have to feel guilty about it.
Mark, your thoughts on Justin Thomas's memo last month asking the players to be better partners with the media, more access, more insight to how they go about their business? We just talked to Max Homa, who said he, too, would love to see them give more of a game planning type of information to reporters. How much of a step in the right direction is it, considering how busy the sports calendar is for fans to watch other sports?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you guys for having me on after Max Homa, the most popular and great guy on the tour. And I look like just this dirtbag, talking out of my apartment right now. So, everybody loves Max, and Max has great ideas. And I loved what he said. My favorite part about that interview that you just did with him was he said, if the fans come up with better ideas, I'm all for trying stuff. That's the way the attitude for the players should be. And, the JT thing, listen, JT's another guy that's trying to take a little bit of a leadership role. As he's seen Tiger do and some of the other prominent players. And I didn't have a problem with the things he said there, because it's true. And listen, selfishly speaking, we are in the media, and that memo was essentially to try to be more accessible to us as conduits to the viewers and the readers or whomever that is listening and watching. And, that's the interesting thing that I see, like the TGL element, guys, that, the uniqueness of that, other than the cool technology with the indoor, and everything like that, their superpower, if that's ever going to work, is going to have to be the players' interaction when they're mic'd up. And the problem is you have some guys that, no offense, they're just kind of boring, flatline guys, and they're not going to be a Max Homa or, a trash talker or like a Kisner and these kind of guys that like to get after a little bit. So, I think that should permeate not just in TGL, but it should permeate into the mainstream PGA Tour events, because the landscape's changing and people want to see different stuff. And let's be honest, as much as people don't like Live or the anti-Live people, Live is doing some things to, in ways that are kind of nudging the PGA Tour along to change its act a little bit and become younger and a little bit more progressive, for the younger audience. So I liked what JT had to say.
Perfect segue, Mark. I was going to ask you, because the USJ and the R&A over the past week opened the door ever so slightly for Live golfers into those major championships. What do you think of the move? Was it enough, or was it still insufficient in your mind?
I wouldn't say it was enough, Lav, and I would certainly not say it was any kind of a seismic shift in terms of, thawing these two parties out, so to speak. But I did think, starting with the USGA, what do you use, olive branch, I'll use whatever, and then now the RNA. I'm really, really encouraged by these things are happening, because these are now the first two moments where the tour and the quote unquote mainstream tours are acknowledging Live, at least in a little bit of a mainstream element, if you will. So I hope this is a start of more of that, because I think it's ridiculous to think. I think it's ridiculous to have world rankings and not have guys like John Rahm and DeChambeau, for example. Who's clearly, if he's not the best player in the world right now, he's in the top two. To not be acknowledged. I've always been bothered by the world rankings thing, and I know that's an entirely different subject. But I just feel like there's enough technology with the world rankings that they can weight the Live tournaments for their lesser fields and 54 holes in a way that they could still gain points to get into these tournaments. But I hope that the USGA and this RNA move are the beginning of a little bit more thaw between the two sides, which have obviously been very acrimonious.
Lots happening inside the ropes and outside the ropes. Mark, we appreciate a few minutes. I'll see you at TPC Sawgrass in the Players' Championship, buddy.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you out there, Lav, too.
There he is, Mark Cannizzaro.